I'm so excited to speak to you all today about Energized Leadership. I know when you are thinking about either starting your own organization, your own nonprofit, your own foundation, or getting into this industry, it can be very exciting, but it can also be very daunting. And so I wanted to talk a little bit today about building an infrastructure that will help you succeed in your nonprofit management or in your endeavors. My name is Chrissy Thornton, and I'm excited to be a part of this, the Future of Family Building Conference for the Cade Foundation. I want to start with a quote. It says, "If your actions inspire others to dream more, to learn more, to do more, and become more, then you are a leader." And that is by John Quincy Adams. So we will be reflecting on that during our conversation today. Again, Chrissy Thornton. My background is diverse. I focus on organizational management. I have experience in large-scale event planning, nonprofit management, fundraising, grant writing. I am currently the executive director of the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation for Maryland and Southern Delaware. And one thing that I really love to do is to work with emerging nonprofit organizations, to work with them on organizational structure, on building infrastructure, on developing fundraising plans, and really laying out the groundwork of what it takes to be successful. Too often, it looks easy from the outside looking in. So when you look at successful organizations like the Cade Foundation, you may be looking at it and thinking, well, I can do that. And you likely can, but it's important that you know all of the fundamental parts that combine together to make sure that your foundation, your initiative, or your organization can be successful. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all today, and hopefully I can leave you with just a few nuggets that will help you be better prepared as you endeavor toward looking at managing your own nonprofit organization. So the basis and backbone of any organization or any effort is always going to be leadership. And so I look to consult with people who want to be energized leaders. Leadership is not just about making sure that you're in place and that you have the passion and that you know what the mission and vision is, but it's about harnessing the energy of other people. Your own energy first, and then those within your organization. It really is, successful nonprofit management is about building a strong team. And so today we're really going to focus on that infrastructure and do a little bit of an analysis of what you would need to have in place to be successful. First of all, as you're endeavoring to look into organizational management, you want to have a very strong mission. And you want to know what the difference is between your mission and your vision. So a mission statement talks about what do we do and what makes us different. So if you're the only organization in this industry that approaches it from this standpoint, then that will make you stand out. That will differentiate you from other people who are doing similar things. So your mission statement talks about how you will get to where you want to be. It's going to define the purpose and the objectives of your organization, and it's going to really talk to your stakeholders about what you want to do. But a vision statement is a little broader. A vision looks to where do you want to be in the future. And so your mission needs to be very concise. You need to know what you're doing and why you're doing it and how you're going to do it. But the vision allows you to dream and dream big. The vision talks about where you want to be, the values of your organization. How far can you grow? What is it, if you look at it from a dream standpoint, you want to be the best ever. You want to provide the most support ever. You want to provide the most amount of grants and help the most people ever. The vision is based in that kind of thought process. So you want to make sure as you're starting out to organize your organization and putting the fundamentals together that you have a very strong mission statement, but you also know where you're going long term. What is your vision? So you also want to take some time to outline your organizational goals. A lot of nonprofits get bogged down because when you first start working towards your mission, everything is attractive and you want to accomplish so much. You want to help so many people. You want to be a resource to so many people that you can get bogged down with having too many goals. So if you are even in your thought process are starting to spin your wheels on the direction you want to go, you want to take the time to really outline what those goals are. You want to make sure that they're easily communicated to people who will support you so that people will know what you want to accomplish and how they can be a part of that. So you want to have clear priorities and goals, and you want to know what every moving part of your organization should be doing in order to achieve those goals. And the biggest part of our discussion today is going to be about building infrastructure. A lot of times small foundations and small organizations are lean. So even here at the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, I cover 23 of the 24 counties in Maryland and all of Southern Delaware, and we run a full-time staff of 3 people. And so just to be good stewards of any kind of donations and any kind of support, a lot of times you have to run a lean staffing team or a lean, amount of people that are going to be performing the work. So it's important that you look to build infrastructure right from the beginning. You want to know what abilities are needed that are going to play a key role in executing your mission. The fallacy is that you, because you have the passion and the vision, are going to be good at everything. And I think a lot of us who have a leadership mentality, we fail ourselves by thinking that we're good at everything, when realistically there are areas where we could stand to have growth. And so one thing I want to really discuss and hit home for you all today is the need to do an analysis of your personal strengths and weaknesses as you look to build infrastructure, because you're going to need to assess what are your requirements to be successful as a nonprofit leader, and you're going to need to start putting those pieces in place, and it may not fall solely upon you. So I like to look at some characteristics that I think are consistently useful for nonprofit leaders, and to evaluate them and to encourage other people to evaluate them based on their own personal strengths and weaknesses. And so I look at areas of being very weak all the way up to being very strong. And I advise people that if you don't consider yourself wholeheartedly strong or very strong in an area, that those are areas where you want to right now start to build infrastructure. You want to seek out volunteers. You want to seek out other people who have these skill sets that can contribute to the success of your organization. So this is sometimes a very humbling exercise and experience. It causes you to really reflect on where you might have areas for improvement or areas where you need to supplement your own skill set. But it's imperative that leaders, foundation leaders, organizational leaders, nonprofit leaders do this exercise so that you can walk in and be successful. Again, none of us are perfect and none of us are good at everything. Leadership. It's certainly, we've talked about it throughout our short discussion, it's certainly probably the most important characteristic. And you really have to evaluate, are you someone who is good at supervision? Are you good at managing talent and people? Are you good at harnessing the best out of people? Can you develop others? Are you adept at handling human resources? Are you someone who is fit to guide and motivate other people? If you can say that you're very strong in that area, then that will be super helpful. But if not, this is an area where you might want to seek out some support. You might want to strengthen that skill set. There are webinars, there are books, there are continuing education classes that you can tap in to start building that muscle so that you can be a better leader. The worst thing is for you to embark on this endeavor and not have yourself fit to lead the organization. So you really need to do some self-evaluation. One thing that I always ask is, just because you have the title of leader, does that mean that you are a very strong leader? And the answer is no, because sometimes you're a leader because you have the vision, or sometimes you're in leadership because you were there and no one else would step up. Sometimes your leadership is situational. So you want to make sure that you actually have the characteristics and that they're very strong, that you can not only lead the organization and lead the mission, but that you can lead the other people that will be involved in helping you be successful. So that's certainly a key characteristic. Another one, as you build infrastructure, is outreach and communication. I love this because if no one knows what you're doing, no one will know what you're doing. And it will be very difficult for you to gain support, not just tangible financial support, but also physical support and people that will lend their credibility to what you're doing. So are you someone who is very strong in outreach and communications? Are you adept at marketing? Are you a good spokesperson, or will you be a good spokesperson for your own mission, vision, and organization? It's interesting that typically when there's an opportunity to do a morning show interview or a radio interview or to write an article, it's typically the person with the highest title that gets featured on those efforts. But are you the person who has the largest skill set? Do you speak eloquently? Can you properly represent the organization? If the New York Times was to give you 5 minutes to discuss your organization live on video, are you ready and prepared to do that? If not, don't stand in the way of progress. You can be the top of the chain and still not do everything and be great at everything, but recognize that that might be an area for you to grow in. So if you're not classifying yourself very strong in that area, start to interact with people who are skilled in that area, with marketing professionals. Bring on a PR team. Bring on volunteers who have that skill set and can lend that to you and can represent your organization as eloquently as you would want it to be represented. The worst thing is to think that just because you're the top person or you're the person who founded the organization, that you would be good at this if you're not, because then you'll miss opportunities for the organization. Information management. This can be hard because technology is ever evolving. And if you can't keep up, it becomes an issue in managing any kind of business, specifically nonprofit organizations. It's a skill set. And it's one that if you're not one to manage the technology, you want to bring people in, especially younger people. College-age students are great volunteers when it comes to IT. You need to make sure as a nonprofit organization that you have impeccable record keeping, that your materials are professionally printed and produced. The worst thing possible is for a company to invest in your vision and mission and lend their logo or lend their reputation to you, their professional credibility to you, and then you are producing things that aren't professional level. So make sure that if you don't have the skill set and technology, that you seek out additional training, that you seek out additional team members or volunteers that can step up, interns that can step up and support you in this area. So hopefully you're seeing now that these are typical skill sets required of people who are running these type of organizations. So if you are thinking about jumping in feet first to start your foundation, to start your nonprofit organization, take the time to assess whether or not you have these key components of the team right now, because you should have them assembled before you get started. Negotiation. Negotiation is one of the top skill sets of an effective nonprofit leader. Most times when we do activities, programming, budgets, we start with a budget of 0. And so that means that you have to know how to be a good leader and be professional, but also to be aggressive and assertive enough to ask for what you need from people. They say closed mouths aren't fed, and that is certainly true in this type of industry. If you don't have the skill set to be assertive enough to ask for what you need and ask for discounts or ask for things to be donated in kind or ask for collaborations that will get you what you need, then that is a skill set that will be missing from your team. Certainly, again, you can build those muscles by practicing, by reading books that are related to that skill set, looking at online services that will help you build up your negotiation skills. But it certainly is a top skill set that I would believe is useful for a nonprofit leader. Okay, accounting and financial tracking. Certainly if you're a foundation, if you are a nonprofit organization, you have a fiduciary responsibility to have good financial record keeping. If you're just starting out, here in Maryland, we have an organization called Maryland Nonprofits, and they produce a checklist of everything it's needed to start a foundation or a nonprofit organization. It gives you great financial guidance on what you need to do federally and on the state level for your tax paperwork and getting everything in order, and then also what your reporting requirements are annually. So you need to make sure that somewhere there's somebody who is adept at keeping numbers straight that is managing your financial and accounting tracking. If that's not you, like for me, I am not a numbers person. That's not me. I would need to have someone else in place to do my monthly bank reconciliations, to reconcile my credit card for the company and do these things. So you want to make sure that if that is not a skill set that you possess, that you start building your team and include that skill set as well. Okay, I love this. Interpersonal skills and cultivating relationships. Just because you want to help people and just because you have a wonderful idea and a great mission and vision does not mean that you are a nice social person. Many of us are introverts that have to turn it on, like me, when it's time to turn it on. So that might mean that you may not be the person to greet at the front door at your event, right? You may not have the disposition for that. You may not be the person who can build collaborative relationships. It may not be innate to you to do that. So you have to, it's hard to change those kind of characteristics that just are, especially when you're an adult. At this point, you either have that or you don't. But if you don't have the interpersonal skills to cultivate positive relationships naturally, or you can't even turn it on, you need to look for somebody who can be the face of your organization. Maybe you're somebody who has a wonderful plan to bless so many people with your foundation support, but you just aren't the one that is sociable enough. Will you join Chamber of Commerce's? Will you go out to networking events? Will you shake hands? Will you remember people's names and know the companies that they are representing? Are you that person that can cultivate? If not, you really need to have a team of people that will stand in front of you and do that for your organization. It's essential. It's an essential part of building your infrastructure. Event planning and logistics. Most of us, to sustain nonprofit organizations or even foundations, we rely on fundraising events in addition to our regular programming that can be funded. And when you're doing fundraising events, it requires you to manage information, to be detail-oriented, to have high level of organizational skills. Is that you? If you're not very strong in that area, that's an area where you want to make sure that you pursue some training or you pursue some other people that can support your needs in that area. Fundraising and development. So we tapped into that a little bit with the logistics and event planning. So fundraising is going to be crucial, as is development. Development is really all about cultivating relationships, stewarding donors to make sure donors are satisfied, not just with the work that you do in the community through your organization, but make sure they're satisfied with you. Make sure that they feel the gratitude for you, that they feel recognized from you, that they feel acknowledged by you. So it's really, fundraising is such a strong part of what we do to sustain our organizations. Many times, you can write grants, you can pursue corporate sponsorship, but it really comes down to who do you know and how do they feel about you. And so you'll learn a little bit more about fundraising for your foundation or nonprofit organization in the next segment, but it is certainly a crucial skill to have and to master. And you probably will need a team of people to support you in that area. So you want to make sure, as you're looking over these characteristics, if you're not able to say without a doubt that you are very strong, that's not a weakness. It's an acknowledgement that you will need to build the infrastructure, that you will need to recruit other people that care as much about your organization, your foundation, and your mission as you do to work in these areas, because you are not perfect, you can't be perfect, and you can't be good at everything. So remember, a willingness to serve is the first step, but it doesn't always equate to skill set. You will not be able to be as successful as you can be if you endeavor to do this alone. If you endeavor to juggle so many balls and to wear so many hats that nothing gets done well. So you want to make sure that you are humble enough as a nonprofit leader to get out of the way of progress and start to assemble the infrastructure that you need to be successful. So again, before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. But when you become a leader, success becomes about growing other people. So I hope that this was helpful for you. I appreciate your attention, and I look forward to hearing about all of your wonderful success. Thank you so much.